goes. 3, 2, 1, let's fantastically go. So, for the benefit of people watching this later, because I know there's going to be no one here right now, starting off almost entirely fresh. I've been active for maybe a minute or so. I have done these quests too many freaking times. So I'm pretty much just going to rush through these. I have a way that I do them, and I should be able to hit level 10 in about an hour or so. Actually, I'll say closer to 90 minutes. I'll give myself some leniency, some leeway. Oh, I didn't turn on auto loot. Okay, we're fine. I caught it fast enough. I gotta turn off add-ons. Don't need that right now. Don't need that at all. Don't need that or that. Alright. That over here. Cool. Yeah, so I've been playing for about 5 minutes. And this will be accurate from the moment I logged in. Basically all I've done, I made this character fresh just before the stream, logged in, set up my LVY, and that was about it. So now it looks like it's slightly off, and that's frustrating. That's better. Not great, but better. Alright. Oh, well that's a problem now. Fuck. I always like to think that my UI experience is done, and every once in a while I just get reminded, nope, it's not. I'm done with that quest. Move on to Vermin. I usually try to kill extra of these as I'm playing, to try and level up before each Handon. So like before a Handon Vermin and the Wolves quest, I would like to be level 3. It can be a waste of time, but in the interest of hitting level 10 as fast as possible, I have found that for me it works best. And I mean, realistically, it doesn't change anything. The major difference I've found is when I kill extra mobs during the early area, I usually leave here about level 6, almost level 7, which is usually where you want to be to start doing the quests out in Goldshire anyways. So it doesn't really change anything. And then even if I do every quest, or 90% of the quests in Elwyn, I still only end up being level 10. At the latest, level 11 is sometimes when I leave here. And then I usually follow most of the guide, but I have found that I don't really need to. So I do all of the quests in Northshire Abbey. When I get to Goldshire, I collect all of the quests there and then head down and start collecting for Goldtooth. And then usually the first set of quests that I do is the quests in Fargo Deep Mine. I get those out of the way first so that if I die, then, well, you know, no harm, no foul, it's only an hour wasted. And then usually I find people in there anyways who are doing the quest, and I have some help. I have yet to die in Fargo Deep Mine, though I've come very close. Actually, no, that's a lie. I died once on a mage, because I wasn't paying attention. But besides that, yeah, just hit level 3. Now I'm gonna head back and hand in these quests. I don't know why I still say I need those, but I don't. So hand in the wolf quest first because it's closest. Grab these because they're worth slightly more. Grab this quest. Another thing that I find fairly important, though I might change my strategy this time, is normally I don't equip anything before going to Goldshire. I sell pretty well everything in order to make sure I have enough for all of my training. And then I usually switch over to my bank alt and send stuff to whatever character I'm playing, usually bags mainly. If I'm playing a caster, then I'll send over a wand, maybe 1 or 2 intelligence pieces. But that's about it. I'm not going to do that this time on this guy, which may or may not be my downfall. Not sure yet. Figure it out. Not having a weapon is definitely going to be a struggle. I want to get a 2-handed weapon as fast as possible, and I think my only option is I don't actually have any two-handed weapon skills trained, so I'm gonna have to save up 10 silver to do that. And then I'm gonna hope the first two-handed weapon I find is a sword. Because I think axes and hammers are in Ironforge, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It'd be pretty fast to go grab that, but that's still going, you know, a half hour out of my way to go train in Ironforge when I could just train swords here. So we'll hope that's the case. But we'll see what happens. I do intend to follow a guide. At some point, I'm probably going to be pulling up the Icy Veins Warrior Guide. Just to check at talents. Though I know most of it. Because as far as I can tell, it's pretty well the same as the recommended setup for Classic Era normally. Which is just Fury with a two-handed weapon for most of it. But I'll be sure to pull it up and see what's recommended, just to make sure that I take the right talents first. I know Fury has certain talents that add to a warrior's survivability and health regen and stuff, so we'll hope that is good enough. We'll hope that we can find some good weapons along the way. I may break and use the auction house at some point, but my goal is going to be to not send things from my alts. I'm going to try and see what I can do with just the money I find on this character. Though periodically I may send excess money and items I don't need from this character to my alt. I apologize if there's a lot of background noise besides the music. My room doesn't have a lot of airflow, so I have fans going and stuff, and my mic might be picking those up. I can't quite tell, but I will hope it's not too distracting. Alright, and that is 10 workers. Let's see if we can quickly get the last 400 experience here before I head back so I can train my next set of skills, which I think is Thunderclap and Rend. I can double check that here. Charge and Rend. Those are pretty big. I'd argue even bigger than Thunderclap. Yeah, because Thunderclap's level 6, that's right. Yep. That's right. So yeah, we're gonna hope that I can save up another 40 silver or so here, which I think I may already have. Or not 40 silver, 40 copper. In addition to these streams, though, I'm gonna try and stream, probably not every night, but, you know, try to stream somewhat frequently, every couple nights. I'm gonna start streaming my raid nights again. Just because we're getting ready for ICC, and, you know, that'll be interesting and exciting to watch. Besides that, expect other videos to be going up on the channel soon as well. I'm gonna try to do a Silent Hill 2 playthrough for Halloween. So I would really like to do that. I haven't played Halloween in a while. Or not Halloween, Silent Hill 2 in a while. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time. Definitely in my top 3 or 4. I have a couple games, long series planned over the next year or so. Tentatively, mind you. So the next game I want to play for the channel, well, I guess first game I want to play for the channel, like I said, is Silent Hill 2. Because I already have it installed from last year. I just basically need to double check and make sure it launches and stuff. I might do No, a playthrough of my own might take too long, so it would take me a couple days to actually get through it. We'll play it by ear. I'll see how far I can get into it. And I haven't really decided if I want to do it as a series of videos or if I just want to stream it to YouTube. I might do a bit of A, bit of B. If I do it as a stream, it'll probably be 2 streams, maybe 3. Because Silent Hill 2 is not a very long game, but you know, we'll see. So yeah, so over the next couple months, year, I want to look into streaming all of Silent Hill 2. I want to stream KOTOR 1 and 2. I want to finish my personal playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3 and then stream it for YouTube. I've been delaying going back to the game because I got not stuck in Act 3, but to a part where I was like, I need a break. So yeah, I'm gonna look into streaming Baldur's Gate 3 at some point, though it'll be at least a few months from now, probably close to next summer. Well after the game has lost all its hype and popularity. I know. I'm going to do a Devil May Cry series playthrough at some point, just so I can have it saved up on the channel. I previously attempted to do this on another channel of mine, my original channel, but the only footage that actually ended up on YouTube was one part of my Devil May Cry 5 playthrough, and it was pretty bad. I was not aware of audio quality as I was streaming it, and the footage that I had was not great sounding. But I'm hoping that with some tweaks, I can get it to a better spot. That's the hope. But we'll see how that goes. So Silent Hill 2, Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, Devil May Cry, and that's a decent amount of games. The only Devil May Cry game that I refuse to play is the reboot, which is understandable. I think a lot of people wouldn't have any interest in watching that anyways. It's not the worst game, but it's not a great Devil May Cry game. And the better version of it is not one that I own, so yeah. I would like to play other games in the Silent Hill series as well, but whether or not that happens is questionable. I don't have any access to consoles, so I'd have to stream them through an emulator, and that can get weird. Besides, they don't really emulate that well from what I remember. I might be misremembering, but we will, in fact, see. I'm sure there's other games that I want to stream as well. I've got a decent backlog of games that I would like to play. I keep telling myself I'm going to go and do a playthrough of not Baldur's Gate, BioShock 1 and 2, but I really struggle with the pacing of that game's early levels. I did it once on my old Twitch channel. I attempted to, at least. I didn't get very far, but I did make an attempt. I think I got maybe an hour in, and it was a struggle. And it sucks because I really love the atmosphere of BioShock. I love the environment design. I love the atmosphere. I love the themes. I love a lot of things about BioShock, but the gameplay just didn't really mesh with me. And some of that's just me trying to play it in, 2022 and not when it came out in 2006, 2007. So it's just like gameplay incongruencies of things that I expect to happen during gameplay now, as opposed to the reality of gameplay back in when it came out. Not even a bad game, just a struggle for me to play. I also have plans of starting a podcast at some point. This is my soft announcement of it, I suppose. A couple friends and I, who have been dear, close friends for a very long time, have been in discussions for a good year or two of the possibility of doing a gameplay podcast, which would be like basically a weekly news podcast of sorts. Talk about gaming news, talk about stories in the gaming industry, things we see, things we hear about. New releases, old releases that we're catching up on. We might talk a little bit about anime that we're watching. I don't really watch stuff anymore, but I'm sure we could find something. But we're looking at starting something like that soon enough. I've been playing for 24 minutes. This seems to be roughly on pace for what I need to do in order to level up fast enough for my own personal interests and needs. So let's see, at 65 experience to kill. Every 2 is 130. 260, 390. 4 more? That one's worth loss. One, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Go. This should be the last kill. Nope, 11 short. That's fine. Kill just literally anything out here. Nice. So, reach level 45. We're hitting about a half hour here. So this is decent pace. It's definitely too ballsy of me to say I would hit level 10 in an hour, but things are definitely going to start slowing down a lot here, unfortunately. But hope is I hit level 6 before leaving here, which should be about 15 minutes, I hope. Should bring me to about 45 minutes. I plan on streaming for about 2 or 3 hours, so the hope... oh, I didn't hand in a quest. That's stupid of me. Oh, whatever, it's fine. Nice. So yeah, we'll see how far we get. If I can do all of Elwyn today, that'd be fantastic, but I feel like I'm gonna struggle a lot when we get closer to Hogger. I don't actually know how many people are playing right now, but it seems there's a couple people talking in general chat. Not too many. As long as I can keep up this momentum, I should be good. Oh, parried. Fantastic. I love it. Oh, a chest spawn as well. Sick. Oh, and I only pulled one. Sick. It's fine. It's actually really good pace for me. Chain pulling this low level is not that hard as a warrior. You do a lot of damage in vanilla. It tapers off fairly quickly, and you know, from level 9 or 10 I'd say until about level 25, it feels a little worse. Let's see what we got in here. Nothing. I don't know what it is. Chests don't seem worth it to loot very often. Almost every chest that I've looted in Classic since I started to play hardcore a few weeks ago has had basically nothing in it, even in higher level zones. Like, I will watch a chest fresh spawn in a zone and there'll just be nothing in it. Maybe a gray or two, maybe a white armor piece, and then just food, usually. Which sucks, because oftentimes chests are surrounded by, like, not usually hard mobs, but a lot of mobs. Alright, we're at 7 bandanas. see those fools at the Abbey sent some fresh meat for us. Oh. We're just playing some soft music today, some ambient music. Oh, nice! Grey Mask has reached level 60. I've seen a lot of those happen over the last few days. Unfortunately, I will not be hitting level 6 with this quest, but I'll have to kill a bunch more when I come back for the grapes. So I am A-okay, making it to about 50%. I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to do a little bit of repeating myself, which I am often prone to do. So I'm going to stream as much of this character's journey as possible until he dies. When he dies, I'm just going to remake the character and start over. We're going to see how far I can get. I think Warrior is the most interesting vanilla class. It definitely feels like it has the most intended curve of all of the vanilla classes. Oh, this is like 1% per kill. It's rough. That mage's name is Cheese Car. A lot of other classes of vanilla feel like they either plateau at some point early and don't really go up or down in terms of difficulty or skill needed to play. But Warrior seems like it's on a mostly upward curve. It has actually several peaks during leveling, which make it like the most interesting to me. Because you've got, like I said, you've got your upward curve from level 1 to 20. And then 20 is where you get like cleave, you get retaliation around that level, you know, you get shield wall in your mid-20s, you know, you get a plateau right around level 20 with cleave and stuff. So you get to kill groups of enemies a little bit faster. After that, you curve out a bit, and then it's back on a slight upward trend until you hit level 30, 35. And then if you're lucky, hopefully you get your Whirlwind Axe around level 30, but most people, if they get it at all, it's closer to 40. And once you get your Whirlwind Axe, you're basically set, right? You get Whirlwind Axe, and then at about level 40, when you unlock your final tier of talents, you spend the gold and you switch over from Fury to Arms, and then you just coast the Whirlwind Axe for as long as you can. You switch over to Arms for Mortal Strike for that instant cast fucking sweet piece of axe. And that's kind of the plan for me. I did it once already on original release of Classic back in 2019, but I didn't finish my leveling. I have to admit that my server died, you know, a couple months in, and the one raiding guild that was on the server was nice enough to invite me, but it wasn't super active. I think they ended up going on to clear some of the raids. I don't know how long they stuck around. Can't remember the guild name at this point. But the funny thing is the server that I had originally decided to level on, Bloodsail Buccaneers, ended up being the server of choice for Classic, which I'm not sure how that happened. But it was interesting that Hardcore ended up over there. Probably because it was fairly low pop by the time Hardcore was starting to become popular, and you know, they just picked a low pop server so they wouldn't be intrusive. But yeah, so on my original playthrough, I got to about... Yeah, I'm taking this. Sorry, buddy. So I leveled Warrior from 1 to 58 in like 3 months. So I think it released in August, and then I got to about mid-50s in October. Yeah, that's fine. And then I started seeing the downward trend of my server right around that point. And I had decided that I wasn't going to bother anymore. So I quit. I didn't actually experience any of the original release of Classic era after that point. By the time I came back, it was right before the pre-patch drop for TBC Classic. And I had come back because I was like, I want to play a Paladin. I had made the choice, a really poor decision on my part, that I was going to play through TBC with a Streamers Guild. I was like, you know what, Tally seems like a good horse to bet on in Classic. I actually tanked a raid with him. It was interesting, to say the least. I sucked, obviously. The raid was decent enough. But I mostly got carried in the fact that I decided I was going to play a prop Paladin. But I came back for the pre-patch to TBC, and I shocked myself in the fact that in the like week-ish of pre-patch, I managed to level my Paladin all the way from 1 to 60. And even actually, I think, did one run of Stratholme successfully before saying, it's good. And then I finished leveling... No, I did the Dark Portal pre-patch event on my Paladin, my Warrior, which I transferred over. I think I finished leveling him to 60, I don't remember exactly. And a Druid, which I decided to boost, because I was like, those are the 3 characters I want to play in TBC. 3 tanks, 3 different options, 3 different flavors of tank. Didn't end up happening. I ended up finishing off leveling my paladin, leveled him 60 to 70 in like a week or 2. I think it was about a week. Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks of playtime total from 1 to 70 for me. And I just brute forced the paladin. I pulled like 17-hour days. It wasn't healthy. Yeah. That's fine. My chest. Yeah, I got level 70 on my paladin. I did, I think, 2 full raids of Karazhan. I did a couple heroics, not as many as I probably should have. I think I did most of my rep stuff. I remember getting Sporgar to, I think it was Revered, because I was told that the shield from that rep was decent for tanking. The like poison reflect shield or whatever the heck. But yeah, after that I did like 1 or 2 full runs of Kara. We tried to do Gruul's Lair once, and I don't even think we made it in the door. Because the guild was just slowly petering off. Tally had taken like a week off or something after his big stream. And like in the week that he took off, like the guild stopped running things. No one was doing heroics in the guild really at all. He wasn't playing, so I think he had taken like a vacation during the week or something. And he came back and his officers like started complaining, like the guild was falling apart. And like he had made the perfectly reasonable call, like, hey, you know, just because he's the streamer doesn't mean he should have to hold everyone's hand, and fucking, if people wanted to play, they would have to, like, you know, put in more effort than that. And a bunch of people went, nah, no, we just don't like you all that much. So the guild quickly disbanded. Tally had offered to swap us from, I think it was Azure Song to Mankrik or something like that. Because I think Mankrik had like a decently popular raiding population at the time. I didn't end up taking it. And then, because the guild had fallen apart and the server we were on was also dying, I decided, well, you know, I think that's a good place for me to call it quits, because at the time I had no other connections for raiding and stuff, so I was like, I'm just gonna...
How are you? Safe travel.
It's gonna be done for me, I think. That was the end of my experience in TBC. I at least got to raid a little bit. I got to experience what it was like to play an early prop paladin. That was that. And then I came back again, I think a month before Wrath Classic dropped. I was waiting for the release date on that, and eventually it dropped. And I was like, okay, this is the big one. So this was last summer. I hopped in for the pre-patch stuff. I leveled a bunch of characters. So I think this was the first Joyous Journey event that they did. I leveled a mage all the way to 60. I leveled a rogue a little bit. I leveled my warrior and druid to 70. I leveled, what else did I level? I think I leveled a priest a decent bit, but not enough to actually do anything with him. Something else I leveled too, but can't remember off the top of my head. it was just one of those things where I was just having a genuinely good time leveling. But really all I was doing was leveling, waiting for Death Knights to come out, and instantly hopped on that train. And it was interesting going back and leveling original Death Knight with as much experience I have now on Death Knights. Not to say that I was good in the first couple months, but like, even just redoing that opening experience with the knowledge of each quest, how to most efficiently move through them, when I could grind out an extra level just to be a little bit faster and a little bit more efficient, you know, all that stuff. I think I actually left the starting area a level or two later than I was supposed to, which was interesting. Definitely interesting, to say the least. And leveled fairly quickly through Outlands, and at this point I had moved over from Azure Song to Whitemane, because I was like, you know what, Whitemane has been consistently a high pop realm. I'm not gonna make the same mistake again. I'm not, you know, an RPer, so I'm not gonna level on an RP server. I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna follow a streamer. I'm just gonna go to a high pop server. I'm gonna find a raiding guild, and that's gonna be my solution to getting the most out of replaying the first expansion I ever played. And I ended up joining the guild that I'm in currently, which has been interesting. Not great. It's been a lot of problems in that guild. But I've learned a lot. I would say I'm actually like half decent at... Yeah, I should probably just put that on. I'm actually half decent at Death Knight now. I'm not parsing very high, but considering I started as Blood, ended up swapping to Frost because that was what the guild needed, and then eventually during Ulduar progression ended up swapping again to Unholy and having to basically start over from scratch. I say I did fairly well. How are you? Yeah, I'm not doing that. That's right, I need to set my Hearthstone, move that to there. But my classic journey has been interesting, to say the least. Probably pretty typical. I think a lot of people join in for the rush of the fresh server, and then eventually go, yeah, no, I've gotten my fill, which is totally fair. I need to... Yeah. 2 seconds. Forgot I had installed this. And now it's time to stay in the forest, killing boars. I need to rewatch that episode. I recently decided I was going to take on the challenge of watching all of South Park for the first time, because I've only seen a handful of episodes here and there, but I've always found South Park to be fairly entertaining. Me needing to get back to that, I struggle with consistently watching stuff. plan on getting back to that. I forgot to buy a skinning knife. That's cool. Alright. Thanks. Thanks, man. That's pretty cool. I have to wonder what I'll get first, because I don't find I typically loot a lot of green items in Elwynn Forest. Green items are, in fact, fairly rare for me. I'm hoping that I loot a weapon here soon, because it's getting to the level where I need a new weapon. No meat, huh? I need 4 chunks of boar meat. Not a single pizza drop so far. This is whack. Not a single piece. Oh, this is a bad choice.
Hello.
First piece. Nice. It only took me like 10 of them. It's a great drop rate. Don't really have a ton to talk about, unfortunately. Hoping that something interesting would happen by now, but so far, not been much. There's my second piece of boar meat. Awesome. Three. This is the last one. Awesome. There we go. And here we go. I've been playing it very risky so far, and it's probably not a good thing. It's going to be the cause of my death here in probably about 5 minutes. Which is unfortunate, because my first warrior made it much farther than this.
Can I help you? Good day to you.
talk to Tommy Joe over here.
What can I do for you?
Grandma knows the way. I want to set myself up for being level 7 or as close as I can be to level 7 before entering Fargo Deep to give myself the best chance of success. Big Hoy has reached level 60. Nice.
King's honor.
Very nice. I bet William Pestle has a potion to unite our two young lovers. Here, take this note to William. He's staying at the Lion's Pride Inn in Goldshire. I bet she knows William very well. Now that we are at this point, I'm going to start putting on any mail pieces that I find. I should really turn on LUA errors at some point and see what is exactly causing the errors. But not right now. Oh, I need a weapon desperately. Desperately. My damage is slowing down rapidly. Honestly, this is what I get for not taking the sword off of the Wanted Garrick quest. I didn't take it last time, but I also at that point had the benefit of using my bank ult for gold. So I just bought a weapon at this point. My first bag. Start. Well, we've now passed the hour mark. At exactly 1 hour, 1 minute, and 31 seconds, I reached level 7. So, we are past my original estimate for hitting level 10. I'm going to guess that each level after this is going to take probably about 20 minutes, give or take. So, probably about another hour before I hit level 10, if I'm lucky. Oh, someone has died to Goldtooth level 9. Interesting. Very interesting. Please, please drop a weapon. No, boar meat. It's boar. It dropped boar meat. What do you know? I'm honestly kind of shocked. I was thinking it would drop bear meat. But alas, only a boar. This boar's boring me, babe. Not even another bag. I would be happy with another bag. That'll save me resources later. Alright, well. If I don't find a weapon before level 10, I will basically be resigned to buying one off the auction house. No choice, no hope for salvation. Only the auction house will save me at that point. I would say level 8, but I mean, at that point it'll be an hour before I can actually get the weapon, and I'm not gonna hold stream back while I wait for a new weapon to hop in. I'm just going to try my best to get through to the end of Alwyn Forest and hope that I find something, because this is gonna get real shitty. I mean, I guess, like, worst case, I can, like, buy a weapon off a vendor, but I would rather not. It's okay, I'll get something in here. I just need to be careful. So I guess, in that case, minor caveat, minor editation to my description. I'm doing self-found until it is no longer viable. Which will probably happen fairly quickly, I imagine. Because with my luck, I haven't had basically anything drop in Alwyn Forest the entire time I've been playing. So it's definitely not great. All the ways I could describe this. Not good is one of them. These guys do significantly more damage than I do. I successfully killed Goldtooth. I no longer need to be in here. I'm going to try to safely make my way back out to the entrance. I think people undervalue how big of a defensive tool Thunderclap can be. That 10% attack speed slow can basically make or break, like whether or not you survive an encounter, with just how much damage is going to be mitigated with the fewer amounts of attacks that are coming through. Obviously, I'm not saying like, oh, well, people don't know. You know, people would never use Thunderclap. That's not the case. But like, I think a lot of people look at old school Thunderclap and go, "Oh, well, it's, you know, it's just Thunderclap. It's not. It's just an AOE damage ability, right?" It's like, well, no, it's an AOE damage ability, but it's got the attack speed slow on it, and it hits up to 4 enemies. And you know, slow 4 enemies' attacks by 10%. That's a lot less attacks coming in over the course of, like, you know, yeah, a 10-second fight. Yeah. Oh, this could be bad. I don't want aggro on this dude's other shit if he does. In fact, I will take Candle, and I have 6 times. 7 times. Well, we are about 11 minutes into level, and we're about 40% in. So I think we're doing pretty okay. No real close calls yet, except for the one. I think we are on decent track to hit level 10 in a reasonable amount of time. But I think that is definitely where I'll be stopping for the day. Hit level 10. I might do my first quests in Stormwind, but I definitely think that'll be it. I'm not going to do my warrior quests today. I'm probably not going to do Hogger today. I have Dungeons and Dragons night with some friends later, and I'll see how I'm feeling after that. But we'll see how it goes. Fantastic. I didn't pull anything extra. Awesome. Mace. That would have been a decent upgrade too. It's kind of disappointing, but it happens. Oh, taunting. Taunting me. Such a significant damage upgrade at this level. But it's okay. We're fine. We're done with this quest, so we can go hand these in over here.
How are you?
Hello. Have a good one.
Alright, I will go hand in these 4 quests, hit level 8. I'm going to train my next abilities. What do I get at level 8? Hamstring and rank 2 heroic strike. turn this in.
King's honor, friend. Well met. The Alliance. Hey there. Safe travel.
Good day to you.
Before I forget again, we will spend the silver to train that. We are going to make 10 linen bandages, which will be very important. If anyone watches the stream and has not played Classic before, first aid and cooking are very invaluable skills. It is highly recommended that you have both of them. Fishing is also very important, but it's less important than cooking and first aid. Basically in that order. First aid is the most important. Leveling that up while you're leveling is really key because it doesn't cost you anything. You're going to find a lot of cloth that you're not going to use anyways. And having an on-demand source of healing that doesn't require you to sit and eat, and that can be used in combat, in theory, is just really powerful. But the other one that's really important is cooking. Being able to make your own food is top tier. There's actually very little that is more important while leveling than being able to make your own food. Because it'll save you money buying food from an innkeeper or a vendor.
See you later.
Greetings. Go with
Help?
honor, friend.
Be careful. You need something?
2.8, 2.8, 1.7. Oh, I'll stick with a sword. Just for now. I don't want to spend 5 silver on a fucking... on a vendor weapon, but that is a pretty significant upgrade over what I was using. I hope that's enough to keep me relevant, because that is, let's see, 9 to 12 damage going up to 14 to 21. Yeah, that's decent. Not optimal, but very little about existing in hardcore is optimal. Not doing that stuff. So, we're heading up here to Stormwind to hand in shipment to Stormwinds. And then we're going to go from there. Yeah, there is a fairly decent chance that the next time I sign in, I will have a sudden two-hander that I didn't have before. And it's just gonna be how we play this. Because not having a good two-handed weapon by level 10 is going to make this almost impossible. Which I feel bad. I really wanted to do this self-found. I was really hoping I'd have more luck. But we will see what I find between now and the end. That is actually a pretty big debuff.
You need something?
Oh, it's really tempting to sell those, but
Safe travel.
I'll keep them. It's a lot of damage. A lot of AoE damage, especially. Alright, so handling that. So the first thing I'm going to do is head towards the Murlocs to start collecting some kelp fronds. Hopefully those drop relatively quickly. Starting to feel tired, that's a problem. So yeah, I was right. So it was about 20 minutes to go from level 7 to 8. And 5 minutes into this level, I'm already about 25%. Which obviously a lot of that was handing in several quests in a row, but that is totally fine. Totally fine. Another level 60, congrats to Pernicia. It's awesome, I'm glad to see so many people hitting level 60 today. That is fan-freaking-tastic. Before I head over, I'm going to talk to this vendor really quickly and sell all this crap in my bags. All this junk. Oh, I almost forgot again. Because I'm going to want a skinning knife before I head over to hand in further concerns.
What are you looking for?
So, the other important tip that I have for leveling in Classic Era is gold is fairly hard to come by. You know, especially compared to TBC, Wrath especially, Cata onwards, gold lost a lot of value. In Vanilla, most rewards are fairly low, which can be shocking for someone who hasn't played before. But there are ways to speed it up a little bit. The main one that I like, because it relies on other people the least, is leveling Gathering Professions. Skinning is really good. It's how I got my first mount. And the nice thing about skinning, the reason why I like it personally, is because you don't have to go out of your way to do anything extra for skinning. You just grind mobs, you get some experience, you skin the mob that you're grinding against, which is just extra money on top of whatever you earn for killing the thing. I guess Beast and Vanilla don't really drop money. But they do drop items which are worth money, typically. And then skin them. Most of the time it works. And that adds a little extra pile of money that you're looting. That is entirely separate to all of the other stuff you're doing. And like I said before, it doesn't come at the cost of you needing to go out of your way and mine an ore node, or go and find an herbalism plant, right? And it's not like those are bad. Those are actually really good ways of earning income. But like I said, typically they come at the time investment cost of having to go out of your way. You know, ores and plants don't offer you experience. Skinning does. And it's the easiest thing to do, and just dump whatever resources you get out of it. Because like, if you're mining ore, you usually want to hold on to it, or if you're mining plants, you want to hold on to it. Because you could trade them in for alchemy potions. You can trade ore in for weapons and armor, which is really good and a solid investment in your future. But the whole point of your gathering professions is to make money. And the best way of making money, obviously, is to use a gathering profession that is done in tandem with a production profession, or a crafting profession. But I don't like to do that, because that requires investing in the auction house and other players, and the difference in time for me isn't that big. Like, obviously it would be significantly faster, but my only goal is to have 100 gold by level 40. Whether I have that gold at level 30, or if I have that gold at 39, doesn't matter to me. It really just comes down to, have I checked off that marker? Fantastic. And then obviously, that's not what I meant to hit. Fantastic. But yeah, I like skinning, especially because one of the best places to level from 30 to 40, at least on regular classic era, is Stranglethorn Vale, which, as you know, has a ton of beasts. So you're doing all of these quests where you're killing a lot of beasts, and if you don't have skinning, a lot of it's just wasted. But if you have skinning, not only do corpses disappear almost instantly, which means they're going to probably respawn faster. I don't know if that actually has anything to do with it, but for me, mentally, there is a correlation between a mob despawning and then the next one popping in. And then, you know, you've got... You're just earning experience because you're grinding out these mobs for these quests, some of which are just kill quests, but a lot of which are you waiting on things to drop, which is freaking tedious. I almost said a very different word there. It's another place where I gotta be very careful because there's no one else over here. Hopefully, it looks like someone was just in here and I might be able to squeeze in. Oh, fantastic. Awesome. Thank God.
How generous.
Yeah, someone else happened to be in here and already cleared the way for me, which is awesome. I can appreciate that a lot. You know, take candle. I have taken a lot of candles today, unfortunately, sir. A lot of candles. So to wrap up my brief little rant, we'll say, I just think skinning is really good, just in general. Even if you don't need leatherworking, you can always drop skinning later. Especially once you get a mount, it is much easier to go back to early levels or like early zones and farm out levels in a secondary profession. And then once you level up your secondary profession of choice, you know, if you're a warrior, mining, a lot of melee classes typically want mining actually. Mostly because engineering is really good, though expensive to level. So, you know, you get your mount. Personally, just because it's safer, I like to keep skinning all the way through until level 60. Because you're going to need gold to respec anyways and stuff, typically. So you have situations where, you know, you can go back and you can pick up mining. But the other thing to consider as well is, you know, if you're only level 40, you saved up just barely enough to get your mount, and then you went, okay, dropping skinning, going to pick up mining and blacksmithing, and immediately start leveling that. It's going to be very beneficial to you, because then you can immediately start, you know, creating armor, making yourself more powerful. But then you're going to very quickly catch up to yourself in terms of your profession level and your actual level. And that point is going to slow down. Whereas if you keep skinning all the way until level 60, then you don't have to spend that time going back and catching up. And you could just go back and catch up afterwards. And at that point, you're going to have a bunch of extra gold, so you could level something like engineering, which will be ultimately more beneficial for you, just because of all of the utility that having engineering gives you, versus leveling up blacksmithing and mining from 40 to 60. Or even, if you don't want to do engineering, you could do, obviously, blacksmithing. If you're not a male plate user, you could do leatherworking, which, hey, if you're already leveling skinning, it is very easy to transition into leatherworking, going back into the old zones, and just murdering entire populations of animals to level up your leatherworking really quickly. Or if you're a cloth user, tailoring and enchanting, really good for your first cloth character, because you level up tailoring, which gives you equipment that you typically use because it's all the stats that you need. Usually a lot of int, a lot of stam, a lot of spirit, occasional crit item, and some of your best in slot items are going to be from tailoring, some of which don't need tailoring but are always going to be very expensive, just due to how hard it is to craft them. So being able to craft it yourself is pretty decent. But having the option of... Sorry, backtracking. If you choose to not go tailoring and enchanting, your other really big option as a cloth character, or as anyone really, but mostly cloth characters I find typically go this route, is herbalism and alchemy. Because potions will always be useful. You can make flasks and various shorter duration potions, which are very, very expensive to the right people. Guilds will always need them for raiding. You know, couple that with leveling cooking, and you could make yourself very valuable to a raid team. Why the fuck? Oh, this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be very bad. Okay, we're good. Alchemy and cooking are very, very important tools to have in your arsenal, because not only will it make you a ton of money, you know, even if you don't raid yourself, being able to sell elixirs and potions on the auction house is massive, because they're just worth so much money. Individual potions may not be that much depending on the server you're on, depending on what kind of potion it is, but elixirs are so important. You need so many of them. And they're so impactful to a given character's power, that it is indispensable having them in your arsenal. And if you are not able to make them yourself, you're going to either have to have a guildmate who you are funneling resources to when you can, like random drops and stuff, in order to hopefully have that guildmate give you potions. Alternatively, you go to the auction house, and you spend hundreds of gold a week potentially on elixirs, flasks, your personal food of choice, if you're a hunter, pet food. Pet food is very important. Yeah, just professions in vanilla, and even to a slightly lesser extent in Burning Crusade, are so important. That is, I will retcon my original statement and say that is probably my #1 tip for Classic WoW, is not only plan your leveling around a guide or a build of some kind, have a planned route for your leveling so you know what places you're going to at what time, what quests to skip, what quests are just too difficult to do or too time consuming to do is probably the most important one. You know, know ahead of time what talents you want to take, if there's any abilities your class doesn't need to take while leveling or can wait until later to save on gold for leveling stuff, what level breakpoints you need for certain items, what items are most effective for your guild at certain, or not your guild, your build at certain points, you know, little things like that. Every little step you can go into Classic to prepare yourself for the next 40, 50, potentially 60 hours of gameplay for a lot of people. You know, you want to do that, and like you hear from a lot of people, and it's true, that a lot of the joy and fun of Classic comes from the mystery of it all, reading the quest text for the first time, you know, finding random items off of stuff, doing dungeons for the first time, and it's true. I'm not gonna sit here and say that's a lie, because that's true. But also, if there is a way that you can prepare yourself for leveling without taking that experience away from yourself, I would suggest doing it. Which basically boils down to everything that's not reading a quest for the first time, you should probably do before you start leveling. Have your class picked out, have your race picked out, have everything that is important to you boiled down to not quite an exact science, but as close as you're able to get, you know. And when I say pick your class, pick your race, I don't even mean, you know, pick the most effective. You know, there's a lot of talk about what race is the best for a given class. Don't worry about that stuff. If you aren't planning on raiding, and even at that point, raiding in a very high-end, looking to speedrun guild, no one's gonna care. Now, if it's for you yourself and your own personal enjoyment, obviously, that's a little different. But way fewer people than you would think actually care about what their parse is or how fast to kill a boss. Just killing a boss, just hitting level 40 even, getting your first mount, that is such a huge milestone that, like, there's nothing like it in future expansions. Dragonflight doesn't have that feeling. And maybe it's just because I've been playing for so long that I don't have that new player perspective in Dragonflight, but I've never... It's been a very long time since I've had that, oh wow, I've done something for the first time feeling. But like, hitting level 40 in Classic? getting my first mount as my warrior originally, that was a big moment for me. It felt impressive. Oh dear. Go away. Okay, cool. That's something that's missing in hardcore as well, that I feel like doesn't happen often. People are so worried about, you know, you help someone, if they die, you're gonna get aggro and all the things they had. And like, and if you die from that, of course it's gonna feel like shit. But people helping each other is how vanilla was built. It wasn't meant to be some rigid fend for yourself like cult. It was meant to be like this cooperative experience, and hardcore is missing some of that. There's a lot of people who play hardcore and just play for themselves. They ignore everyone else around them. They try to avoid helping other players. They try to play, you know, as safe as possible. They don't really take any risks. They play the game very boringly and then die to something dumb and they go, ah, what could I have done? Meanwhile, you know, they could have been making friends with people, doing quests as a group. You know, playing as a group is 1,000 times safer than playing solo in hardcore. You know, if you play with even one other person that you trust a lot and you've been leveling together, you know, especially if you pick a class that's really good and it complements the class that you're playing, which is most classes in vanilla, you know, you have this unparalleled gaming experience. In my opinion, obviously, and I think a lot of people share that opinion. And I say that as someone who, I really don't even like Vanilla WoW. I think that way too many people are obsessed and fantasize with this perfect version of Vanilla. The one that they played in 2004, 2005 with their college friends or their high school friends. You know, before they had a job or when they had their first job and they spend all their free time, you know, leveling up, doing those quests for the first time, reading, like, obviously reading quests for the first time, getting their first mount, saving up 1,000 gold for their first level 60 mount. They have these memories of a better time. Of a time when they had less things going on. They were less stressed about life. There wasn't, you know, a pandemic. There wasn't, you know, political stress. There was less things going on in the world. And they remember how this game made them feel at that time. But the reality is it wasn't vanilla. It was you playing with your friends. And the fact is, vanilla is a terrible game. It is, at the best of times, barely functioning. And most of the classes are lucky to have a spec that works. Some of them have two, if one of them's a PvP spec, but like, Paladins, if you're playing anything other than Holy at level 60, you are probably trolling your raid team. If you're playing a Druid you're probably only playing Resto unless you're, you know, PvPing. In which case, I believe Feral is kind of decent, and Balance has a good amount of damage, but I don't know specifically. I think Feral is mostly for PvP. You know, Shaman, like, you've got 3 decent specs, but Enhancement is mostly like a bursty tank spec, and it doesn't function as well in PvE. And there's some charm with that. It's not all doom and gloom, because that meant that every class didn't have an answer to things, right? And I can appreciate that. But it is so infinitely disappointing to me, as someone who comes from later expansions, where you can, for the most part, play what you want. If you want to play a DPS priest, you're probably going to find a group. If you want to play a DPS paladin, there's definitely groups for that. And there has been several times in WoW's history where Retribution Paladin was really strong, especially recently. You know, you got all 3 specs of Warrior being useful later for different things, of different elements of PvE. Arms. I can't really talk about Arms. Arms has always been really strong, at least for PvP. God, 1,000 gold. But it really just comes down to vanilla isn't the game that you remember it being. It loses a lot of its charm when you play it on modern hardware, on reasonable graphic settings, at a reasonable FPS. Because it's a very slow game. It's faster than a lot of MMOs of the time. Like, especially if you compare it to, like, Final Fantasy XI, which came out 2 years before it. It's really fast. But, like, even compared to Burning Crusade, it takes a lot longer to do things, a lot longer to get places. A lot of specs have just dead rows where it doesn't feel like you're getting anything impactful for your class, and it's rough, you know? It is the most imperfect the classes have ever felt, and not even in like a way that made them more charming. I think in a way it made specific specializations stand out, and you know, if you saw a person of that class, you probably could guess what spec they were playing. You know, if you saw a mage at level 60, they're probably playing some variant of either fire or arcane with mostly fire talents, depending on what phase you're playing in at that time. You know, if you're looking at a warrior, there's a decent chance they're a tank. Now, mind you, because of private server stuff, whether you go full prot or mostly fury with some prot is up for debate. I don't understand the point of going full fury and trying to tank, because you lose out on a lot of defensive stuff. But I also understand that at least apparently the thought process is a lot of prot has dead talents that don't actually help you keep threat. So if you do more damage, then you're better able to let your damage dealers do more. So I can get that. But I still think that it's a little silly to give up all of that defensive power for a little bit of gain in the damage department and the threat department. And I say that even knowing, like, Fury has some really good talents for survivability, it is nowhere near, in my opinion, the levels of Protection. And really the only reason why I wouldn't level as Protection in vanilla is because you don't do any damage. Shield Bash is a, like, capstone talent that you get at level 40, and it is just way worse than every other incarnation of Shield Bash. Or not Shield Bash, Shield Slam, sorry. Bash is the Interrupt, and the Interrupt is really good, actually. So good, in fact, that a lot of times it is easier to just have it macroed on your bar so that you double tap and swap to Sword and Shield, Shield Bash, swap back. Actually, almost about to hit level 9 here. Ooh, 40 minutes, but that is fine. I'm gonna have a decent amount of experience that I gain pretty well as soon as I hand all these in. So probably in the next 10 minutes or so. So the hope is that I level up while doing Bandana's quest. I'm probably gonna get another quarter of a level, maybe half a level if I'm lucky. Should actually level up right about here. Oh, 3 experience. But yeah, the best part of vanilla is playing with your friends. It's whether your fun is you and your 4 friends running dungeons together, whether it's you and your 9 loose friends that you run like Zul'Gurub with every week, whether it is you and your raiding guild who get together 3-4 nights a week and run like Molten Core, Blackwing Lair, Encourage, you know, those are the moments, the things that you remember in vanilla. It's not, you know, the 40th quest you did that day. You know, it's gonna be that one quest you did that time where you fought something that was slightly too strong for you and you barely made it out, you finished the quest. You know, oftentimes with the help of someone you met doing that quest, you know. Or it'll be that time that you like downed a raid boss, but you know, the group almost wiped at like 5% and it was this one dude who fucking stayed up and like managed to heal himself at the last second and got enough damage off to kill the boss, or 2 people or whatever, right? It's those are the moments that you typically remember in vanilla. You know, which is more than I can say about a lot of other expansions that WoW has had over the years. But, you know, it's a different kind of experience. And it's not one that I think everyone is able to appreciate. I'm certainly not able to appreciate it very well. A lot of people remember vanilla fondly. I don't. I play it mostly because hardcore is interesting. Trying to do things without dying is more fun than just playing vanilla. Because, like, if I didn't have to worry about dying, I could just throw my head at something for a couple of hours until I eventually got it. Especially if it was like, oh, I was so close. It was like, you know, the difference of like 1 hit and 1 crit. Like, you know, not receiving a crit versus, you know, hitting the enemy one more time, then, you know, I would just try again. But in hardcore, that kind of mistake could lose you 10, 20, 30 hours of leveling. Or, you know, you pull a mob just slightly before you were ready, and suddenly, oh shit, I'm dead. You know, there goes my whole day. You know, vanilla is such a slow leveling experience that it really does come down to, like, the little moments. And leveling is really the strength of vanilla WoW. It's not the most fun part, but it's the most involved part. You know, little quests like that where you know, you gotta group up, because if you don't, you know, you're not gonna get it. And there's an extra, like, 100 experience or 500 experience or something. 700, Jesus, almost 800 experience. It's a lot of experience. Those are the moments, in my opinion, that really matter in vanilla WoW. It's you had to group up for a quest that was slightly too tough to solo, or you group up for a dungeon for the first time, and you know, the people that you meet while running it are interesting people. You know, doing something with a raid guild. You know, that's the kind of stuff that you play vanilla for. Because vanilla has the most weirdly interesting and compelling raiding situation, where, like, never after this has there been a game that tries to get you to raid with 40 people, you know? I apologize if you hear the background noise. My people upstairs have woken up, and there's not much I can do with that. They've got a kid and stuff, so oh. Cool. Leveling is the journey, and the journey is not the journey itself, but the people you meet along the way on your journey. The people you talk to, the people you choose not to talk to, the jerkbag who cuts in front of you and steals chests or a quest item off the ground that you were waiting for, or pulls a mob right as you're about to hit it. People you run dungeons with, people you raid with, the guild you join. These are the things that really matter in vanilla. The gameplay, take it or leave it. It's more a vehicle for the interactions that you have. And that's the real benefit of playing vanilla. Not the game itself, it's the social network that you build playing the game, which is true for a lot of MMOs. But WoW hasn't had that for a very long time. Even you could see this beginning to diminish during Burning Crusade, when raiding became less about what guild you were in and more about what server you were on. When more raids were easily, you know, you could just grab people at a trade chat instead of, you know, needing to find the right group of 80 people to run in a given week, right? Alas. I still need another bear. But I need to not die first. Nice. There was a bear over here.
It's too far away.
Oh, my hit chance is getting horrifically low for some reason. Yeah, so to wrap up my point, I guess. Did I skin? I did. To wrap up my point, vanilla is not the game that you remember it being. The game that you played back in 2004 on your old dinky 4x3 monitor on 10 or less frames that you played with your college buddies and your roommate or your friend who lived down the street or the guildmate you met who lived, you know, in the next state over. It's not that anymore. Back in the day, you couldn't just Google what a quest location was. You didn't have access to what the best stats were for your class. You basically just had to guess. And the game does kind of guide you in the right direction. If you know where to look, like, as a warrior, you know that you're probably going to want to use mail. If you understand that cloth is the lowest and mail is the highest that you can wear, if you can figure that out, you can typically understand that to start, you're going to want to use mail. And when you train plate armor from your class trainer, you may not understand, you know, that plate is the best for you. But, you know, if it's in your trainer, then that means you are improving your character, right? And you can even build off of, you know, when you were playing in 2004, you could even build off of, like, you know, if you played other RPGs, warriors a lot of the time, knights, fighters, warriors, often wore plate. So you see, oh, you train plate armor, you can use plate armor now. I hope he doesn't die. I missed a level 44 that died. That is tragic. Absolute tragedy. Alright, well, we are nearing the end here. And I have almost got a full level's worth of experience. I don't think this will put me over. Maybe if I get enough experience from killing these as I finish off, this quest here. Maybe that will get me up to level 10. Which means the stream may very well be ending shortly. Like I said, I'm not going to do Hogger today. I'm going to wait until potentially tomorrow, probably Sunday. And continue from there. Probably with a new weapon that I did not have prior to. Probably a good time to start wrapping up anyways, just as background noise starts to kick up. Not a very good quality stream if there's people stomping above me, but that is fine and okay. But we've had a fairly interesting 2 hours, I would say, you know. 10 levels, only about an hour longer than I thought it would take. I went on some interesting rants. We had some near-death experiences in-game. Bunch of times where I was brought low and almost felled. I hope that I can wrap it up here. Still need 3 bandanas. It's getting close. Desperate need of a new weapon. But at least after this I can go to Stormwind train. So I may need to send some silver over to do that. Fantastic. I hope I hit level 10 off of these quest hand-ins. Be really nice. So that's a nice, clean spot to end the stream on, I feel like. Getting my first talent point plugged in. You know, the whole thing. Up here a little bit. potion, so I'm okay. I don't need it. We are fine. I'm actually gonna use one though. Because I'm gonna loot it anyways. First potion consumed of many. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Not fantastic, but it's a start. I would still prefer a sword. I would have loved to get a sword of the bear, but you know, like I said earlier at the start of the stream, going to Ironforge to train axes is not the worst punishment to trade for having a weapon of reasonable power and toughness. This guy could just drop the last bandana, that'd be fantastic. Then we could be done. There we go. We're done. And this will level me up fully as well. Actually going to... I'm gonna go to Goldshire first. Yeah, so here's what I'm gonna do. Hearthstone to Goldshire. Then I will make the run towards Eastvale Logging Camp. So I can sell. When is heavy lift? 40? That's not gonna do me any good. I'll be 1 point short. Oh, that's rough. That's okay. So, finish making these bandages, hand in all of my current quests, I am going to attempt to make the Lakeshire run, which is dangerous, but is potentially worth it. some running later on. Oh, I didn't hit level 10, that's right. Alright, so go hand in Princess, we run over, hand in the escape. Run over to Eastvale. We hand in all of those quests. Hide that for now, hide that for now, hide that for now. Oh, that's right, I don't get... That's right. I was thinking that I would get the follow-up quests, which sends me back to Eastvale already, but I think that's after I go to do the Hogger quests. So I got the clothing marker. Or the armor marker, or whatever it's called. But, alas, I have not got that yet, because I haven't done Hogger yet. That'll be next stream. So, just in case I die, which the hope is I don't, because that'd be a waste of a 2.5 hour stream. I will keep streaming until I've gotten back to Stormwind. I will then end stream. And probably log off immediately. I'm gonna probably buy a weapon on my alt. Or I'm gonna see if there is any swords on the auction house that are reasonably priced. Because I would much prefer a sword over an axe. Especially an axe that is basically only stamina. Bum 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 bum. So first points are going to be in cruelty and then booming voice. Alright, sure. Alright. Those quests are done. Now I head back up towards the road. We basically auto-run to Eastvale, and then we auto-run to Lakeshire, fly to Stormwind, and we'll be done. Big old done. Should be pretty easy. I've done the run many times before. And I have actually yet to die on the Lakeshire run. I've done it at level 10 every time. The main benefit of doing the Lakeshire run at this point is it mostly just saves time later on. Because it means you can just instantly do the Defiance Brotherhood quest, which saves you a lot of time, and it basically pays for itself, because you only end up paying like 10 silver, I think, to do the first handful of quests, and you make back 11 or 12 silver after everything, I think. I could be wrong on that. You fly from Westfall to Lakeshire, Lakeshire back to Westfall, Westfall to Stormwind, Stormwind to Westfall. And I think you might go back to Lakeshire again? Don't remember. But I think those are the main 5 flights. Westfall to Lakeshire, Lakeshire back to Westfall, Westfall to Stormwind, Stormwind to Westfall. And I think that's it. And I think after that is when you get the quest to do the Defiance Messenger. Bless me. I don't know if the mic cut it up, but I sneezed and hopefully I muted myself in time, but regardless. Alas. Maybe I should have done this as a druid. I think it would have been a lot harder. But Feral Druid is actually very fun to level as. As long as you can get your bear form, solid leveling from like level 12 to 20. I don't like cat form very much, but cat form is very useful for traveling faster. Alright. This is where things get a little bit dangerous, a little bit interesting. Hello, Marshal Hager. I'll be back for you soon. Alright. First bonus point of crit. Very important, that extra 5% crit. Be surprised how much you'll crit with that extra 5%. And that's League of Legends players who've been playing since Season 1. We had some deaths today. Some very sad deaths. Oh, that griffin scared the poop out of me. Oh. I've made it. That's the hard part done. I grab the flight path and fly to Stormwind. It's just that simple. Just that easy. And as we crest over the ridge, we see Lakeshire. One of the more boring towns of Vanilla. It's quite unfortunate. But very important.
Well met.
Fly me to Stormwind. Well, this was fun. I talked about a lot of things. Had a lot of things to get off my chest. I hope that I see you back here all next time I stream, which will, like I said, probably be Sunday morning. I hope you enjoy your weekend. Yeah. Peace out. Be excellent to each other. Stay classy.